Hi guys and gals, welcome back to another Board No Game video. Today's video is dedicated to some SINoNEWS, and before we jump into it, make sure to like, comment, subscribe. It would mean so much to me if you could subscribe. 80% of y'all are not subscribed to the channel. If you could subscribe, that would warm my heart so much. Anyways, let's jump right into it. You go into menu, you go into notice, and then right here, you can see there's going to be a maintenance occurring tonight, 2300 to 2359 PST. We're going to be getting Active Hatred, we're going to be getting the Bloodstained Grimoire, and then we're going to be getting the Expedition event. It's actually not an Expedition event. We'll talk about why. Anyways, Active Hatred. So if we go into story, go into the main story right here, we are in Active Hatred normal. If you add all of these up, including these chapters right here with the locks on them, there are a total of 41 chapters with chapter 5 as well. So each chapter, this is a chapter, right, has 10 verses in it. Each verse is 5 Twilight Crystals. So with the release of chapter 5, we're going to be getting, if there are 10 verses, we are going to be getting 50 Twilight Crystals. Now, what does that mean? Since we're getting hard mode, if we minus the 4 chapters that are from the Aladdin section right here, we're going to be getting 37 chapters. If you look to your right hand side, I did 37 times 50, which is 1850 Twilight Crystals. That's going to be dropping with hard mode if you can complete everything, including chapter 5. Alright, so that's going to be a huge boon of Twilight Crystals that's going to be added into the game. Absolutely amazing stuff. Thank you so much, Bokolabo, for finally getting to it. So if we go into menu, go back into notice, let's talk about the actual Grimoire. This is going to be the Nightmare dropping. This is going to be the Red Riding Hood class. These are the weapons that's going to be dropping. Let's talk about the weapons first. Now, as far as the hammer goes, it's going to be okay. The spear is okay. The orb is okay. The tome is okay. My short answer to this banner is it's not a must pull unless there's a weapon that you must have. The reason being is because there hasn't been any announcement on the Twitter page or any of their social media that says that this is going to be a step up banner. Usually they have something right here that says step up, and for the most part, I feel like if you're a free-to-play player, mainly do like 1 to 2 pulls, you know what I mean? Don't go too crazy on this banner because we do not have a guaranteed SR at the end of the road, and the rates are pretty horrible in this game. Anyways, so as far as Red Riding Hood goes herself, she is going to be providing 700 magical attack at level 12, 100 magical defense. Her sprite work looks great. That's actually pretty Red Riding Hood. That's like a classic look for Red Riding Hood. This is how I would expect her to look, because she actually has a hood. She doesn't look too menacing, you know. Pretty good artwork. I like it quite a bit. Anyways, you know, that's going to be her. Now, as far as her actual weapon goes, that's not what... There we go. Sasumata of Violence. It's decent, right? 1900 magical attack at base is decent. It has Dauntless Courage 1. I would say this is the best class-specific weapon that's been, you know, dropped into the game stat-wise and technically Call 8 skill-wise, because most of the time, when you drop a class with a weapon, the weapon usually is trash, and this one's actually pretty good. So if there's anything to pull on for this banner, it's going to be, you know, just for Red Riding Hood and the weapon itself. I don't think you're going to be going crazy because of the tome. Just because the tome only decreases magical defense, we are in a magical attack meta, so it would be advantageous of you to get this if you have a lot of magical attack users in your roster. But for the most part, it's not really a must pull, and it increases physical defense of 1 member. You're a sword, you're not supposed to be increasing anything. So yeah, that's just kind of weird. And you know, I would break down the hammer some more, but it doesn't have, you know, it doesn't have a good Call 8 skill. It's physical defense debuff. We got Axe of Ruin. We already got like the weapon spec banner. If you picked up, you know, the Axe of Hegemony, you know, that axe was technically better than this one, or hammer. And then, you know, orbs go burst, so if you want an orb, you know, feel free to get that one. But in my opinion, this banner is not really a must pull unless you really want Red Riding Hood, and for that fact I understand. Now the thing is, this Nightmare is going to be adding the new mechanics that we keep talking about. So at Legendary, because you know this is probably the level that you're going to be getting it at, and it's going to be 5,126 stats at level 80, because I don't think a lot of y'all are going to be MLBing it. It's going to massively reduce the effectiveness of enemy instrument skills. That's pretty huge. If you drop this at the beginning of a fight, man, your opponents are going to cry. That's because they're not going to have enough buffs. If they don't have enough buffs, you're going to actually demolish them. If you technically, UFO gets countered by this nightmare specifically. So if you drop this nightmare when UFO is up, their UFO pretty much just went to crap. Just because, you know, if you're reducing everyone's buffing capabilities, that's a hard counter. That seriously is a hard counter. The thing is though, if you use something like Library or Cecilia, you can get around this because, you know, you are not using instrument skills when you are casting those specific nightmares. So just note that these nightmares are coming. Yes, they're going to be meta. There is going to be different timings. Everyone's opinion is going to change about them. But I'm going to say, like, this is a very deadly nightmare in the beginning phases of the game when everyone's trying to buff up and get their stats as high as possible thanks to instrument skills. So I would say this banner itself, you know, the Red Riding Hood banner, the most valuable thing is going to be the nightmare. It might actually be worth pitting for just to counter the UFO meta that's currently occurring. And if you get it, like, oh my gosh, I dislike you. Let's talk about the next thing, which is going to be the expedition event that, you know, you guys probably have seen on Twitter. It's going to be this thing right here. Now, the thing is, it's actually funny they call this an expedition event because this is actually a very solo event. So you see here, there's going to be 200 stages. And the thing is you're not actually going to be doing this with your friends. This isn't a co-op thing. This is a solo thing. So what happens is you get put into essentially a tower, endless tower sort of thing, except it's not endless because there's, you know, 200 stages as they stated. And you're going to select your friends on who you want to use. Now, I do understand that, you know, Sorks, Minstrels, Clerics, Orb Users, Supports are pretty much getting a shaft on this because there's not going to be a lot of people who's going to be like, you know, like Min Sorks and Clerics usually run this with buddies, and now they have to run it with CPUs with really slow attack. So I understand there's definitely pain points there. You know, we got to talk about them. So the next biggest thing is actual metal shop. We got to talk about these. Now this is like, I'll drop this in the description and in the comments if you guys want me to, but this is how the expedition or the, you know, the Abyss event is going to be handled. You know, there's going to be X amount of stages. Just note there's only 200 levels. Don't ignore like everything else. And pretty much once you win, you get like medals for the event. And there's going to be waves upon waves of things coming at you, right? You set up the strongest person and this, that, and the third, right? So the thing that you gotta know is that there's two metal shop exchanges that's going to be floating around, right? There's going to be, this is the 2018 one, which is the one that we're most likely going to get. Notice that, you know, all of the nightmares are S rank, nothing too crazy here. The biggest thing is going to be, I guess, if you really want to grab it, is the Snowflower Spear or the Snowflake Spear in, you know, Global. So if you want to max limit break that spear, go for it. It's good for stats, you know, you can't go wrong really getting it. And then you'll see we have like the Abyss stuff, you know, this was dropped during the Spider event. So if you want to grab this, feel free to do so, you don't really have to. But the most important thing is we're going to be getting 300 Twilight Crystals from this event. 100, you know, it'll be broken down into 100 chunks and you'll pick it up as you go, and then 5 purification tickets. Now there is another metal exchange. This is the 2020 version if you want to look at this one, and this one has Fear Warden Prisoner. This Fear Nightmare is actually really broken, and if we got it now, I would be absolutely amazed. The thing is that guy has really high stats, and notice that this metal shop specifically adds like an insane amount of Twilight Crystals. So I'm not sure if we're going to be getting this one, but anyways, we got to talk about Fear if we do get it, because Fear is a must get nightmare, and if they do choose to drop him, he's going to be providing 6,330 stats at max limit break. That's absolutely insane. Like, I don't know if they're going to drop this nightmare, because if they do, they're going to like make most of like the Gotcha nightmares look kind of bad compared to this free nightmare. Like, the Gotcha nightmares have more stats than this, but not by much, right? Anyways, his ability is restore 35% of max XP to the Vanguard or attack jobs, right? So the attack jobs, you know, that doesn't include Orb because technically it's rear guard, right? So this is going to be a great nightmare if you slam him right in the beginning when everyone's pretty much just slamming for combo, because you know, if you do more combo, you increase your damage. So the faster you get to 1,000 combo, the faster your damage will pretty much increase, right? We already know how combo works. If you want to look at combo and how it scales, you know, you look in the in-game text, it's right there. But for the most part, this is an early game nightmare. If you want to use it for late game, you know, that's fine too, but you know, ideally you cast him straight from the get-go, or you know, during the beginning phases, right during first demon, or during, you know, before first demon, whichever. I'm not sure where you want to place him. Just cast him early so you can get your combo up, so you can spam skills with your Vanguard, this, that, and the third. He is a must-get nightmare if he gets dropped during the expedition event or during the Prison of Abyss. They should have called this the solo event, because this is a very solo-based thing. So, just to wrap things up, we got the active hatred that's going to be dropping tonight. It's going to be providing technically 1900 Twilight Crystals if you complete all of the events. We're going to be getting a new banner, which has a possibly quite meta-changing nightmare. If you ask me, the meta-changing nightmare is, of course, you know, Blank, the one-winged doll. So if you get her, drop her in the beginning, counter UFO, people gonna cry, I'm gonna cry, cool. Anyways, and the next one is going to be Prison of Abyss, the solo event. And you know, if they so happen to drop Fear, he is a must get. Other than that, you know, I don't really expect us to clear out the shop like crazy. Just get the Twilight Crystals, the Purification tickets, and you know, Snowflake Spear if you want it. You know, if they drop like the actual metal shop that was, you know, explained in JP, you know, grab Fear, grab the SR weapons if you want it, and then grab the Twilight Crystals and the Puries and pretty much jump out, right? Feel free to get these nightmares if you need EXP fodder, but for the most part, I don't think it's really necessary. And yeah, that's pretty much it for this video. I'm not sure if there's going to be multipliers based off of like, you know, this sword that there's going to be appearing, but for the most part, you know, this isn't really going to be like a must. Like this expedition event is going, or solo event is going to be highly dependent on the fact of what they drop in the metal shop and how grindy it's going to be. Personally, I don't think it's going to be that grindy. It's going to suck because it's a solo event essentially, but it is what it is. I'm just excited for these 1900 Twilight Crystals. Anyways, that's it for today's video. Like, comment, subscribe. 80% of y'all are not subscribed, so it means so much. And that's it for today's video. I'll see you in the next one.